guys, welcome to our 8th episode, right? Is it 8th episode of No BS S&P podcast? My name is Magic Mike, and along with my host brothers from the West Coast, love you, buddy, David Hoffer, and from the East, far east, over the pond, the one and only GOAT, Magic. Oh no, not Magic Mike. Paul Clark. Yes. Hey guys, today we have amazing guest, our true friend, and I would say the true S&P influencer in this industry, entrepreneur, and in my words, the Joe Rogan of S&P from Scalp Solutions. David Santiago.
Wow, that's, I know, right?
Oh, look at this.
Yeah, what's up? I just felt like 4 animals today, man.
Listen, that was the best intro I ever received, and I want 2 more invites on this podcast. That's it, bro. It's good.
I
appreciate you.
Today's
closing credits are sponsored by Adderall
and Burger King.
Burger King.
I'll miss that one, I think. Yeah, there we go.
Is it okay?
Yeah, it's fine.
You said Burger King.
Yep, that's fine.
No.
Show the real crown.
Hey, so I know we had our guest appearance on your podcast. I don't know how long ago it was, but we kind of stopped and we were like, hey, I think let's continue this on our podcast. So welcome to our podcast. I don't remember how we ended off, but
we ended off knowing that there was probably going to be another 8 more episodes that we needed to record because we went real deep into things that are happening in the industry, things that are missing in the industry, and things that we want to change in the industry.
And I was just opening up, man. I was like on my 3rd double rum and Coke. I felt like, I was getting loose, man. I was going to drop some bombs on everybody, but Dave wanted to.
Yeah, we had to pull a hard stop, in the words of King David.
Yeah, I had to tinkle. Sorry. Hey, nature calls.
Duty calls.
Duty. I didn't mean to say duty. I meant that duty. Forget it.
And
he said duty.
A lot has happened since then, right? We've been talking behind the scenes ever since that podcast, really. And obviously we talk regardless, but we've been all chatting as a collectively, and things have happened with you, Dave, as well. And just things happening in the industry. So I feel like today's episode is going to be really digging deep today. I'm really excited about this conversation. And I think to give everybody the heads up of what today is about, I think it's going to be about multiple discussions, but also I feel like for me, the angle today would be how important is it to use your voice for the greater good of S&P and pushing the industry forward and stuff, as well as probably the 30 other topics we're going to be covering today. So that's probably just one. So, who wants to start off? Who wants to share in the group today?
Well, I think...
Who wants to fire the first shot?
If you don't mind, like you said, Paul, I've been going back and forth with Big D up there too, and it's been some really good discussions, and I think we've all kind of met together and have all the same mindset. So it's good to see that other people feel the same way. I know a lot of people are kind of scared to use their voice because they're scared to shit on somebody else or whatever. But it's important, and I know Dave, we talked, and I told you, I said you got a powerful stage. You have a presence. Your podcast does really well. You're good at it. And I don't know if I messaged it to you or told you, it's with great power comes great responsibility. And that's,
you did.
It's true. You're like Spider-Man. And we're going to start calling him Spider-Man. Just call him Spider-Man.
Just mention it is the 2nd most rated podcast, right? We're still number 1, right?
We're still number 1.
You guys are number 1 still.
Nah, we're not.
Today for sure we are.
Absolutely.
Number 6, there's not even 6.
So
you guys are number 1. I'm number 2. There's only 2 of us in the end. Oh no, we got Joey.
Yeah.
Sorry, Joey. I don't want to give Joey a shout out. He refuses to have me on this podcast, but that's okay.
Uh-oh.
Joey, what's going on here?
So Dave, that has to feel to be on the good side of S&P industry.
Dave's always been on the good side, always been on the good fight. He's always reached his hand out to help people and stuff like that. And I've known Dave for a long time. And I want to say personally a big thank you to Dave as well. It's going to get confusing for the viewers.
Just call me.
Remember, I'm Little Dave.
Hey, Tom, can you put like Dave number 1?
Purple Dave. I'm Purple Dave. And he's Black
But-
Dave.
It looks pink. It looks pink, buddy. That's pink.
But I just want to say to Purple Dave as well,
Magenta.
for like giving me a voice to talk about the things I wanted to talk about on your platform as well. So appreciate that as well at the time when it was most needed. So thank you for that as well, mate.
Of course. First, I appreciate you guys having me back on the platform and sharing it. I love what you guys are doing. I always loved, even from the very beginning, it was just one of those like, whoa, what's going to happen on this platform? Like, these are topics that everyone is scared to talk about. People are scared to disrupt business and friendships. But in the midst of that, I knew kind of like what I wanted to do with my platform. And I also always felt like there's a lot of artists out there that people don't know about that were deserving to be known of. So that's why I had to have you guys on my platform, even though I always had an agenda, and it was never like, oh, I want to be the guy. It was just like, no, I want to introduce the world to this industry, because I know and understand that there are a lot of people that don't know about us, let alone the industry. But I wanted to do it the right way, because it was like, who the hell are you to be interviewing anyone if you're not really gonna, pay homage to the guys that really put the work in before you. So for Paul, Dave, and Mike, having you guys on, it was very important for me to make sure that people understood your guys' story before they can know everybody else's, to include mine. So thank you guys.
Mhm.
You're welcome.
Thank you for S&P, Paul.
Yeah, true, right? That's a good statement right there. Thank you for SMP.
You're all very, very, very welcome.
Is it?
On Veterans Day, do you remember the movie 300 and Leonidas? So there's like a photo of him going like, I'm the man. And I post it every Veterans Day just to, give people shit. And it goes, thank me for my service. That's
I just need a red cape, and also more important, the 8-pack, what goes along with that image as well. So,
And Joe Rock can probably S&P that on your stomach. I'm pretty sure he's good at it.
Yeah. Doesn't the P in SMP stand for Paul?
Scalp Micro Paulism.
Well, we need a new name if you look at my post recently. So
yeah, Paul's been producing some good content. He's stepping it up. I like it. We need to see more of that. What you didn't do 5 years ago, Paul, and you're doing it now, and I'm glad that you're doing that, because I know it's very difficult to create content. And I know we've had this conversation ourselves, Dave, where it's just kind of like, we're scared to step into that content creation space because we're scared to get we adapt that title of influencer, right? But they don't realize that there's different types of influencing, right? And I think we kind of like hashed that out, and joking around, it was like, Dave, I know you hate influencers, but like, this is it, bro, it's happening. And you always bring something up of like, you can be an influencer and use that power to just do things that don't really incentivize the industry, just your pockets, or you can do something that really incentivizes the industry. So like, I'm glad that Paul is like now just making that content and like being truthful about like what's going on and what he sees, and like some of the shits that's being glorified, that's like, no, like that's not what we're meant. That's not what it is. That's not what we're doing. That's not what we want to do. Like,
I don't want to be associated.
Well, Paul's
you're educating Paul, not showing off like the rest of them.
I thought you were going to say edgy for a second. And Paul, because he's talking so much, he's now in hiding because a lot of people are going after him. So that's why he's down in his dungeon there.
You ain't gonna find me, bitches. You ain't gonna find me.
He's like 3 Earth levels below.
Mm-hmm. So hey, Dave. So what's the news with TikTok? I hear there's some good news there.
Congratulations.
Please talk about it.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate that. That I'll tell you what, how that even transpired, it wasn't even meant to be, right? So I received an invitation because I've been getting a lot of invitations. I've been going a lot of networking groups and just pretty much putting myself out there, right? Letting people know who I am, what it is that I do. And it's been working. That's how I'm getting my clients in, right? And I get an invitation to go to TikTok because they're going to be hosting an event that I thought was how to use the platform. I'm not very active on TikTok. So I was like, you know what? Let me go and learn it from who better than the people that work at TikTok. Mm-hmm. So when I get there, they give a presentation, and the presentation is actually for TikTok managers, meaning like these are people that find talent and they manage them. So it's kind of like, hey, Dave or Paul, Mike, I want to manage your social media. I'll do the post for you. I'll give you guidance, how to do it, what times X, Y, Z. So I'm kind of like, all right, I shouldn't be here. But they have a presentation of a very successful TikTok influencer and his agent. So I listened to this and I was like, you know what? At the end, I'm just going to ask this dude, hey, bro, how much for an hour of your time so that I can go right to the, like, how do I make this happen? Like, how do I get to where you're at? And as I'm talking to him, his agent comes and she was like, what's your social media? So I was like, Instagram. She's like, what is it that you do? So I explained it to her. She looked at me kind of like, what the hell? So as I'm talking with the guy, I forgot his name, I'm sorry. She's going through my social media and then she leaves, comes back when I'm done talking with him, and she goes, the person you need to be having a conversation with is with me. So I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't know, I'm thinking I needed permission. She goes, no. She was like, you need to be talking with me. This is who I am, XYZ. I was looking through your social media. What you do is absolutely amazing. Not only that, we love the wigs. So I'm like, oh yeah, that's Bartholomew. And she's like, you don't understand. Like, what is this? So I'm explaining it to her. She was like, you don't understand. Like, you have an opportunity here right now. Like, this is an untouched industry. And in my head, I'm like, no, it's not. Like, there's artists that have been doing this for years and years and in. But again, this is how we see each other because we know each other, right? She's speaking for the rest of the world. That's like, what the hell is S&P? What's a scalp tattoo? Yeah. Oh, it looks like hair, not like a dark tattoo. So long story short, she's just like, we have to work together. I really see something in you. Like, you got the talent, you got this, like, you have an opportunity right now. She called it like first movers advantage. And I was like, yeah, I'm familiar with that. And she was like, we could really do something special with you. Are you willing to do that? We'll put you like on a 3-year contract. We'll bring your brand managers. It's
David, did you go about
$1 million? You're directly working with TikTok. So the beauty of that is that they're going to incentivize you. So they're going to push people to the platform when I'm doing anything so that we can create that awareness. So I'm kind of like, I was like, yeah, hell yeah, absolutely. I'd love to do that. And long story short, we signed up for them. I got a brand manager now, and now I'm going to be the influencer Dave told me to never be. No,
was it easy to set up an appointment with them? How did you get in touch with them? Was it through emails or phone calls? How did you get in there, first of all?
So they sent me an email. So what I've been doing is on the back end, I've been signing up for all these like networking events with content creators and stuff like that, because I'm looking at what these guys are doing to put their businesses out there, right? So I'm talking with lawyers, real estate agents that they're blowing through leads. And I'm like, okay, but what are you doing? And they're like, none of my content even has really anything like directly to do with being a realtor. I'm just being myself. I'm being funny. I'm doing little stabs at the industry, stuff like that. So that's where I was kind of like, it's time for me to like re-strategize the way, I go about my content. No more just always before and after, stuff like that. So anyway, I've been going to those groups. So you meet one person, then another person's like, hey, this person is having another one. This person from this big AI company is going to be there. Like, this is someone worth talking to. So it was just essentially knocking on doors until I finally found someone that opened it. But just so happened this day, I just put myself in the right conversation at the right time. So like, it's not necessarily like a group or anything. It's just meeting a friend. So if I met Dave and Dave just, me and him, we click, and he's like, hey, Dave, you want to come to another one in 2 weeks? They're doing something here it's a polo event, but it's strictly for networking. I'm like, yeah, I'm in. So I've just been attending a lot of those on the back end, it's in the evenings, but that was it, man. Just trying to get myself out there and what it is that I do.
So are you going to be the like influencer of SMP on TikTok? I mean, is it going to be, you know what I'm saying? Is it like the industry is going to be, we're going to go and push everybody to Dave because he's going to get, how do I question?
Yeah, I see where you're getting. So like, no, so they're not like indirectly crowning me like, oh, you are SMP, you are the representative.
Right.
what they want to do is think about it like this. They want this to be almost like a vlog style. So they're like, you're an interesting person, right? So in their world is your talent, right? You're marketable. What you do is very unique, and your industry is super small. We want to capture everything. So it's not just S&P. So like they want to really push the product, the service, so that everyone knows about it, because they now know so many people suffer from hair loss, and there isn't anything that's a guaranteed solution. So they're like, oh, and you got to think, like, these people also think it too. We bring more people onto our platform. They also make more money. But then they're also looking at it from a perspective of like, oh, this guy's actually okay at what he does. He's a little bit funny. Like, we can pimp him out for some ads and stuff like that too. You know what I mean? So like, I see what's happening, and it's just kind of like, all right, I get it. But it's like, we were very strategic with the contract, where it was like, I get the final say on like how I want to put myself out there. Like, I'm not signing something that's going to make me look like an asshole. I'm not going to sell a product just because you offer me money. And I even showed them emails. I showed them 2 emails, and we spoke about this, the last one. I was like, I can't be bought. Like, I turned down $50,000 for someone in my industry telling me they wanted me to promote a product. Like, I'm not doing that. If you want me, in your eyes, to be the face, then we're going to do things the right way, because you guys may not know this, but this industry already got a lot of BS things that's being forced down our throats, and I don't want to be part of that. And they were just kind of like, oh, okay, well, like.
Also, let's face it, if you've never seen this industry before, we are tattooing heads, what looks like hair. To someone who doesn't know that we exist, that is like, whoa, that's
still right.
Eye-catching, thought-provoking, and then it's like, okay, well, you restore hairlines, then you restore confidence, then you restore well-being. You know, it's just a domino effect of the possibilities and the positivity what is associated to S&P. So that's amazing, mate. That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's, you know, what's even more amazing, Paul, is that when you're in a room with people that you're for the first time introducing it to, and every single person is just like mind blown. I'm talking about it right now. I'm getting like my hairs are standing because for so many years, like, we've all as artists been saying this, right? Like, we're sitting on something very valuable, right? We're sitting on a gold mine. We're just waiting for the gold rush, and it hasn't happened yet. So now to see these, and I say civilians to them because they're just not in our industry, they were like,
oh, he's too big now. He's too big, civilians.
I'm trying to separate them from us, you know. They're not like, so like, to see them, how they get so excited knowing like, wow, we're gonna be able to put something out there to the masses, and this is going to benefit so many people. And at the end, you know, like, their pockets get bigger because they get more. But to see them just as excited about it and what we do with it as we do, it's like a stamp of approval of like, you know what, I am doing something good here, regardless what their agenda is. Like, what I'm doing, I know I'm doing something good. And to hear someone that knows absolutely nothing about our industry say that.
Yeah.
Like, so that's your first blood of idea, which that's what they're looking for, which is great.
But now
it's that thing, isn't it? Like, if a celebrity got S&P, right, and whoever did it, blah blah blah, obviously that person who did the work is going to benefit a lot, but the whole industry is going to be benefiting as well. Do you know what I mean? Because it only sheds more light onto what we do, what we need. And then maybe it does fall on the laps of more celebrities, and it is getting more eyes. And so,
for sure,
heard about this hair tattoo. So it's kind of, in a way, like, you've kind of worked with a celebrity, but you've worked with a celebrity tech company who deals with social media, which is amazing, because whatever you put out there, it's only just going to boost the industry and get more eyes on us.
For sure. And you know, this is funny saying this, it's still very cringy. So when I walked out of the meeting, my agent told me, she was like, you know, you said something in there that when we had to take a break, so there was, you know, I went and I got, so when I stepped out to take a break, she said that they all spoke about it. So when they were talking about, you know, the push, I guess it was almost like a test to see if I was going to be very arrogant about it and if I wanted to share the wealth and be like, they were waiting for me to go like, well, no, like I want to be that guy. Because they fed me the whole like, you know, you have first movers advantage here. Like you could be it, even though I was like, well, I can't possibly be it because Paul Clark exists, Mike Mazinski exists, you know, David Hoffa exists. Like these guys were doing this way before me. So how can that possibly happen? So when they were trying to push that to me, like I told them, I was like, well, that's not really what I want to do. Like what I'd like to do is I want to expose people to this industry. And I also want to bring some of my friends along for the ride, because at the end of the day, there's over 60 million people suffering from hair loss in this country. Whether I wanted to or not, there's absolutely no way I'd ever be able to service that amount of people. And it's just not fair. It's gonna, in my industry, I'm gonna crumble because they're gonna look at me as a poser. So like that might be good for you, but that gravy train is gonna come to a screeching halt at some point. And then, you know, when I left, so after the meeting, my agent was kind of like, she was like, listen, when you told them pretty much that like you want to bring everybody to the buffet, that for them just show them just how humble you are and not greedy, and they want to work with you even more now because they know you're not going to be problematic like, oh, me. Like they know you're all about, you know, helping out.
So it's if you think about it, how important is that on you, since you're going to be bringing all these people to the table? What if you were the wrong type of SMP artist? What if you were that SMP artist that thinks he's the king and is selling his products and has all bad intentions in mind? Just he wants to sell his product, and we've all seen the bad work, you know. And those are the people with the biggest egos, and so that's where that responsibility. I mean, I guess we're grateful that they found you rather than maybe some of these other hacks, because that could have been the face where they're pushing. And then that person could have said, oh, I'm going to bring my bros, you know, on board with SMP, and it could be all just poor work. And then back to what Paul said, if you can get one celebrity to get it done, well, Paul's been posting some stuff about celebrities that have gotten it done and it's not good. So the work has to be good. And we need more good work than bad work. But with the level of how many people are getting into the industry, there's more bad than good. So this is our goal with us three and now you four, to try to bring it back and make sure it stays as good as it should be. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry, Dave. You go.
No, go ahead. Go for it, bro.
I was going to say, and adding on to that is obviously you expect you're showing good ethics, moral compass, but also it's the narrative. Like you find yourself in a very powerful situation where like you can almost control the narrative almost, because if the platform continues going the way it is and what these people are saying that they can do for you, you know, you're talking millions and millions of people watching you. So it's lucky that we have someone ethical like yourself to actually say what this really does, rather than the selling the dream. Do you know what I mean? Like this can get you 6 figures in 17 seconds.
And
like,
Lambo.
You'll get 6 figures halfway through your training course. It will just pop in your bank account. So now, like, you know, for someone like you have a very big responsibility on your shoulders, and you already have that as well as a massive podcast for the SMP industry, because, you know, you want to use that voice for good. So now you have a lot more pressure on you to use your voice for the good. How does that feel within yourself? The fact that, like, maybe saying something, what is the facts and what could hurt someone, not hurt someone, but could really mess up their business strategy because they rely on lies and deceit. Like, how does that feel in your head now? Because you don't want to tread on toes, but you want to say the right thing. And it's the same thing we had with this podcast, like, you know, but not on the grand scale where you're heading. So how does that make you feel in your internal mind kind of thing?
So, I mean, obviously we've sat down and like, you know, talked about this, like to come at it from a strategic standpoint, right? Because the first thing you don't want to do is go, well, hey, this person is doing this and it's wrong and he's doing it so that, because even in my own research, even conversations that I had with Dave, like, let's just be real. Some of these artists that have turned businessmen in our industries are putting out products. They have no idea that the products are not good because they're relying on a manufacturer or a cosmetic chemist who they can counter, right? You can't tell the cosmetic chemist, this is wrong. Why is this additive on it? You know, why is this much ratio of glycerin at XYZ? So it's like, you can't just go and bash the artists because most of them just genuinely don't know. They're being took, right? Like these big manufacturers are just like, they don't know any better. This is the purest, blackest. This is the blackest of the blackest. And, you know, it's at 94%, you know, carbon, whatever the hell. And these guys are just like, oh, this is great. It's going to be great for the industry. But they just don't know any better because everyone has a freaking agenda. So the plan is not to just attack people and say they're doing it wrong. They're doing it wrong. The plan is to show people how I'm doing it, how my friends are doing it, and now they're going to be able to put two and two together, right? Because there's more of us doing good than bad. And now it's going to be an easy determination for them to go, well, Mike does this in 3 sessions. Harry over here in Brooklyn is saying he can get it done in 1 session. Now it's going to make him ask questions. Why is Mike doing it in 3 sessions? And why is this guy doing it in 1 session? And when you start putting stuff like that, like the issues that we're experiencing right now in our industry, once you start putting that in people's faces, people aren't stupid. You know,
I disagree. I disagree. People are stupid. They really are. I hate to say it.
I retract that. Yes. they yes.
Sorry, people.
It depends. What I mean. I guess I don't. Not stupid. Some people are easily persuaded,
naive.
Right? So they're naive and they fall for this like form of like polarization in marketing. So, but do I know that some people are probably going to be a little upset with me? That's fine. I'm not intentionally trying to hurt anybody. The only thing I'm intentionally trying to do is make people aware of this beautiful industry and the good artists that are doing right, not only by the industry, but by the client, because somewhere along the way, we've removed ourselves from the client. Everything is me, right? Going back to Dave, like, oh, the influencer. And it's like, no one gives a shit about you, bro. What? That's not why we do this, right? We do it for the client, right? That overall, like, oh my God, you saved my life, the bear hug and all that. So like, that's what we're trying. That's how we're going to go about it. We're going to show them what's good S&P, good ethics, good business. And I'm going to bring my friends along that follow the same lead. And that's that.
But you don't want to see what I had for dinner? You don't want to see a picture of my feet on the beach? Come on.
I would love to see a picture of your feet.
You don't want to see me working out in the gym? Come on.
Well, I have to do that now.
No, but you're absolutely. I just had to throw some of that, but you're absolutely right. That's the way it should be.
So, like, there's different ways to glorify yourself, right? When you're successful, right? You can do it the real way, or you can do it the way that you think you're supposed to do it when you have a certain status. Let me break that down, Barney style, because I love talking about this, right? You can, but what I see in the industry is a lot of people behave like they think someone who's a multi-6-figure winner is supposed to behave. But we know who are the successful business owners, and if you really look at them, they don't behave like that. You know why they don't behave like that? Because they understand that more money brings more problems. So why the hell would they be projecting that shit on social media so that they could get those problems, right? But these artists that are under the assumption of like, how do I let people know that I'm successful? Oh, I flash money and all that. And listen, that's fine. If you want to do that, that's fine. I don't do that. I grew up in the South Bronx. Right? When I was a little goon, we looked for dudes like that. That was food. I don't want to project that on anyone. I don't want people knowing that. I'm not going to flash my money. Will I show my feet on the beach? Possibly feet in the sand because my feet kind of throw up gang signs, but I won't put my feet out there and put like a stack of money or say, oh, I'm here and you can't because I did 10 clients this month. You know, like I want to just be me, not give you the version of me that I thought I'm supposed to be because I got a lot of money now.
That's the marketing
If that
strategy
makes sense.
potential students are going to get, because they'll see how much money they potentially have, right? So that brings in more clients for that practitioner. That's the strategy.
And it works. You know why, Mike? Because I remember about 3-4 years ago, I did a class with Billy Jean is Marketing. Have you ever heard of this guy? Billy Jean is Marketing. This guy is super duper successful, right? I paid this guy $10,000 to go hang out with him for one weekend, and his style, and he understands this, right? Because he tells you can do two types, right? You can just be yourself and be humble, and you can attract a lot of clients like that. Absolutely, good on you. Or you can be like me. I like to polarize my shit. He goes, that's why I got a black Lamborghini with license plates that says I'm black. He goes, I do things to the extreme because there are also people right now. We're talking about business now, right? I know, Dave, this is not good business for you, but this is the reality of it.
That's smart.
They teach this shit. He's like, there are people that they need to see someone super successful at something that they could potentially want to do in order for them to make that investment. So now it's a matter of like, all right, which way do you want to go? So like you can't necessarily be mad at it. The thing with our industry is the majority that are doing it are really not that successful. Not only that, but like, are you really putting out, top class work? No.
Yeah.
So now, majority of the people these days, they just want that money, right? Social media has conditioned us to be successful means you have to have a lot of money to the point where you can show it. So now they follow that herd. Then they get this BS training because they don't realize you just fell for it, right? Now I'm going to give you a one-day training. I'm going to teach you very little because I know very little and send you on your way. Congratulations, you're a statistic now.
I want to say as well, because I love this side of you, and I felt like I might be wrong, but I feel like this is almost like a new side of you.
You found yourself.
I felt like there's been something different in you lately, and it's almost like it's just like it feels like someone else has joined our army almost. Like, and I'm not saying that you've never had the same ethics or whatever we have, because obviously we know you and you do, but I've seen there's a difference in you, in your content, which is almost like debunking. You're going on almost like a debunking thing, and to be honest, it's very brave of what you're doing and what you're saying and stuff like that. Can I ask you what led you to feel like now is the time to use that voice, in the sense that you're like, no, I'm going to debunk this shit. I ain't going to say, check out Dynamic and all this sort of stuff. What's kind of led you and lit a fire up your ass?
Was it us on your podcast? If you were on your podcast, maybe that's
you know what, Paul, is a combination of many things. One, for starters, is I get so many DMs from new artists that they just know that I'm accessible. So they'll ask these super fundamental question, or they'll write out, tell me like, listen, I spent $5,000, I did this training, like they didn't even explain to me why I'm using a 3RL, like stuff like that. So like after a while you start looking at it, and then you start like going like, damn, like I kind of have a position where I could kind of help with this. And again, I don't want to like just be destructive. I just want to say the truth. Like, I know there's products out there for us that are with good intentions, and I know there's product out there that's just like, we just want their money, right? So it's a combination of that. I always had these questions, and I don't know if I told you guys, I know me and Dave spoke about this. Even when I first started in S&P, the first thing to me was about pigments. And I always asked, I was like, but I don't understand. What's the difference between this big bottle and this little bottle, right? But then again, who am I? I can't ask these questions. And when I did, I was told, listen, guy, you want to survive in this industry, just keep your mouth shut. So I was kind of like, woo, okay, I'll do that.
I'm sorry about
that. Right? And also at the time, like, let's be transparent, right? There was a lot of gatekeeping going on, right? Like, no one was reaching out to Paul and going, hey, Paul, like, what do I really do on the second session, right? Because you were brought up to like, no, we don't do that, Paul. You keep your mouth shut. We're going to take this to the grave. So now, what was that? Is that your back cave collapsing?
Was it from me? I felt like was from me. I don't know what that was.
Well, I mean, you're like almost at the core of the earth, so I don't know if the Wi-Fi is.
It's a bit toasty in here, I'll be honest.
It's like the floor is lava, literally, where Paul is at. So it was a combination of that and knowing the opinions. Like, so I always had these concerns and like feelings, and then it was just recently too with my association with Hustle Butter and making phone calls and trying to build and trying to help build the industry. All right, because you guys know, like, that's what I'm about, right? And this entire so far is like, how do I take my friends so we were trying to do that, and then you see like the ignorances towards, because it's a tattoo product, primarily XYZ, and I'm like, where the hell, like, why have we been being fed all this shit? So I kind of got to the point where I was like, you know what, I'm gonna probably make some phone calls. I'm gonna talk to Dave, see what he thinks about this. I kind of want to join kind of like that revolution, but I want to be very strategic about it, because I'm not out to harm anyone, but I'm done following this narrative that they've created for us, because it's hurting too many people. And now us as artists, we're suffering it too, because if you fucking Google scalp micropigmentation, what do you see? You don't see good results.
Yeah, because exactly what you're saying is you don't want to harm people, but if you're using something and you don't know what it is, you're kind of secondhand harming people because you don't know.
Right. And even with the knowledge, it's not just that, it's the products, it's the knowledge of the products, not knowing the needles, telling people that, you know, this is only done for this, because now you're keeping them and you're selling them a product that shouldn't be priced at what it is, because it's rebottled. And now this student doesn't realize that there's other tools available for them, but you're not giving them access to the other knowledge to it. So he's pretty much set up to fail.
Right.
And now you've also created communities that student is scared to ask, hey, my teacher told me to use a 1RL. This is what I've been using. Look at my results. Why? Because he's going to get shitted on these forums, right? Because and not many people have control of those forums. And shameless plug, that's why I created the S&P Collective, because I want us to be able to go in there and actually help these students that are being misled and misinformed. It's not to throw anyone under the bus. It's just like, well, yeah, we don't do that here. This is what we do. This is the pigment that we use. Here's why. I use dynamic. Here's why. Here's my dilution ratio. If it works for you, that's great. If you want to use something else and spend more money, great. That's all. You have options. You can buy underwears from Walmart, or you can buy underwears from Gucci. One costs $10. The other one costs $1,000. If you fart, it still goes through both of them. It doesn't matter.
Just wearing different guy's name.
Yeah, but a Gucci fart, man, that's pretty high class.
That's a Gucci fart. Yeah, I know. So like, it was all of that boiled into one, Paul, and then just, you know, having a lot of people reach out to me too. Like, I'm not gonna lie, that was very hard. And at some point, I had the conversation where I was like, all right, I guess I got to kill the podcast, because I was like, it grew too much influence, where now people are kind of like, bro, you have the platform, you need to be speaking up about this. And it's kind of like, but this is not what I asked for, man. I just wanted to talk to these guys and put the industry out there. So I had to like kind of take like a week or two to really think about it. And I just felt good about it one day and was like, you know what, I'm going to do what I think is right. And I'm just going to say what I do. I'm not going to say what I do is right, because at the end of the day, I'm still a student of the game. I mean, shit, did it the day before yesterday, I hit you up, Paul, and asked you for dilution ratios. I have no shame in doing that, and I don't think any other artist should. I've been doing this for 8 years. I'm still asking questions. It's okay to ask questions.
Yes.
But some way, somehow, we've made it not okay to ask questions. And we all know we didn't receive proper training.
Yeah. It's like this. I know where it comes from. I know where the origin of the big secret comes from. I get it, and I've said it before, and I don't want to go into it because it would just dominate this episode, and I don't want to do it. But we've all from day one have been told in the UK when this came over, and I helped set it up, is that the owner of the business at the time said, "This is not a tattoo. This is its own special thing. It has its own special needles. It has its own special pigment. And that's the narrative, what has taken all up to this modern day age. And it's like-minded people, yet again, not bashing, because it makes sense in business-wise, if you look at it as a business strategy, to bottle something, what makes believe that there's the reality of that this is something special, this is something special needles, and so on and so on. And the pigment can be special, but you mentioned it, there's a gatekeeping mindset here. And the more like we take a stand and go, look, listen, more than ever now, you can get so much information. You can get the truth within 5 minutes if you dig deep these days. But like, as ourselves standing as a collective and saying, look, listen, you don't have to spend $60 on a thimble-sized pigment when actually you can spend $50 and you can get a pigment which is trial tested, amazing, safe product, by a safe manufacturer, and then just try it. But the guys who have tried to gatekeep this industry for so long, it's coming to the end with people like our platform and your platform, and controlling that, not controlling the narrative, but giving a different insight to it. But there's still like this, oh my God, Dave can't say that he's used dynamic and it's possibly one of the best sessions he's ever had. And it's held 6 years and it looks still immaculate. Oh no, we can't say that. Why the fuck not? Like, times changed. S&P has its own identity now. It is a tattoo. We've moved past that. The industry, the whole culture now it's weird for someone not to have a tattoo. Do you know what I mean? So tattoo is not the same the same mind frame as it was in 1930s, 1940s and stuff like that. It's not a thuggish thing no more. It's a sophisticated modern day science of how these pigments have become safer. More people getting trusted to have a tattoo. And now it's time to that logic to seep into the S&P world. We're still like stuck in 1940s. Tattoo? No.
We should have an intervention of what's using what.
What's even more interesting is that, now having access to like really successful tattoo artists, and they start asking questions about like what it is that we do. And let me tell you something, man. I'm sure you guys in the beginning too, right? It was very like, oh, stay away from the tattoo community. They're not professional, X, Y, Z. And I always question, I was like, okay, what are we judging? Like, what is this scale? Where's the professionalism coming from? Is it the look? Is it how much money they make? Because some of these guys are making $10,000, $20,000 a tattoo. We're making, what do we push for Norwood 7? $3,500. Some people 5,000. Some people on social media now saying they make 20,000. You kiss my ass with that, but whatever. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. But what I'm saying is like, what's the overall definition of professional and being successful, right? So now these guys, I talk to them, and they look at me like, you guys are fucking tools.
Yeah.
They don't say that, but you guys know what I did for a living for 20 years, dude. I did investigative work. So like, I understand body language, bro. Like I can see some of these artists just in my, and maybe not me, but again, now I'm representing S&P, right? And they're looking at me and going like, well, what? Yeah. Why would you do that? That makes absolutely no sense. It's a tattoo. It's this. Why are you calling it this? Dot work existed like fucking 20 years ago. And they're like, okay, we understand. Right. And even further than that. It's been what, over 3 decades? Maybe these guys have debunked shit over 30 years ago that we as an isolated industry are still fighting over what's right and wrong. Mm-hmm. And now when you have these conversations with them, they look at you like, what? You're charging $3,000 for this, and you don't even understand the difference between a 3.5 machine and a 4.2 machine? Like, really? You're just using it because your trainer said so? You did what on the same day? You fucking did third day?
Hold on. You know what, Dave? You know what I think would be very interesting? I know you're doing the Empire State Tattoo Convention. When is that coming up? This weekend?
This weekend. Yes, sir. This weekend.
And I think it's very interesting that you're going to be doing that there. Now, going in saying I use dynamic, It's going to be totally fine. Imagine you went in there, I don't know, last year saying, "Oh, I use this special SMP ink." You would be clowned out of that fucking place.
Bro,
They'd be like,
there,
"What the fuck
been
was
there, been there, done that.
Uh-huh.
Okay, let's talk about
which is why
2000. When did COVID? 2020 or 20? Okay, 2019. Who decides he wants to go to the Golden State Tattoo Expo? This guy. I'm going out to Cali.
Yeah.
I take my bottle of pigment. No names mentioned because I'm an influencer now and I don't want to make. I gotta get paid now.
Is it this size? About this big?
There was not one artist that, and again, and this is why I hate when they say that tattoo artists, because God bless these guys. They're so fucking cool. They are so fucking cool and chill. You can see they were refraining from grabbing the bottle and throwing it. Get the fuck out of here with this bullshit. You just fed me. Who told you that?
Yeah.
Here, use this, bro. It's more viscous. You need that for the top of the head.
Yeah.
So they were asking me, and I'm telling them, and you can just see themselves being, nice and going, "Oh, okay, yeah. Well, you know what? You should probably try dynamic." And I will go, and I'm like, I used to use it in the beginning, but they told me don't be seen using this. It'll destroy my career here. And I'm like, can I ask you a question? What made you just automatically assume that I need dynamic to use that for that? He was like, because when you're working on top of the hand, dynamic, not only is it really nice dark, but it's also more viscous than that. And he takes my pigment and he pours it out. Fucking
shit.
No, that cost me $70.
No.
He
He didn't like pour it out to in a way. He poured it into a cup and he goes, "I will bet you $1,000 that this is not eternal. It's another thick."
Intense?
No, it wasn't intense.
Silverback.
Damn it. It wasn't silverback. Nocturnal motor something.
Nocturnal lining and shading.
And he tells me this, and I go, how do you know that? He goes, "Bro, this is what I do." And I was like, that's beautiful. But the entire time, someone asked me, they were like, "Yo, what pigment are you using on the top of the head?" Because now they're intrigued too, because they're like, "Holy shit, this guy's doing a head tattoo. Yo, what pigment you using?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm using Alivio." And they're like, "What the fuck is that?" They're like, "Who?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's specifically formulated for this." And they're like, "What the fuck?" Like,
and they buy into it.
And Paul,
where can I buy this?
Paul, what is Alivio?
I don't know if legally I'm allowed to say.
Oh, okay.
That's okay. We know it's not what it is, but then they grab it and then they look and they're like, "So what does this cost you?" And at the time, the ink was like $75. And he was like, "Dude, are you fucking serious?" And I'm like, "Yeah." It must have been like 20 of them. So I already experienced that. So like now when I go this weekend, and I'm gonna grab content out of it, and I have been, and I can't wait to release it. Where I'm asking tattoo artists, I'm like, "Hey, boss, quick question. You see what I do? Boom, boom, boom. We chop it up for a little bit. If you were an artist doing this, what pigment would you use, and why, and what needle?"
Yeah,
appreciate you, brother. Thank you. And I so far they've all been like, "I would use this. I would use intense. I would use Eternal Black Liner. I would use Silverback. Why? Oh, this one's more viscous. Oh, this one's a little thin, but if I put it down a little bit, I don't got to worry about hitting the sweet spots." Like, it all comes with knowledge. Not one of them is like, just because. Just use it. Trust me.
Isn't it strange how that you can see how the tattoo world conducts themselves, and it's very shared, isn't it? It's like shared, like, "Oh, I've used this pigment, I've used this pigment, I've used this pigment," and it's like sponsoring someone else, and all of them, like the manufacturers and stuff like that, they're not really claiming that they've got the secret recipe that everybody needs, because this is better than everything. It's very much like, this might work for this might work for this, and it seems like it'd be an open source information without this kind of, "Oh, don't look what I'm doing, I'm not going to tell you." Where the SMP industry, it's like, "I've got this pigment and this is better than everybody's pigment, and it does this and it does this," and then the next person says this. You don't get that in the tattoo world.
Yeah, because you don't even see the battle of who's the best tattoo artist in tattoo industry. There
No.
not And in our industry, everyone's trying I'm the best. I am the best in the one. I got the best product. That's it. And I don't understand that either.
No.
What you were talking about, Paul, I remember a few weeks ago, and this was something we kind of went back and forth with Dave, where we were talking about a totally different industry, and it was kind of like the topic was of this is business, this is good business. And do you remember me talking about how all these car companies, they go and they say, my car has this feature, this one doesn't, but at the end of the day, these guys are all sitting at the same table eating the same lobster and steak dinner. They're not their competition, but they go about competition totally different. They're not like saying, well, you can't use any other vehicle. Like when you look at for us, right? Well, you shouldn't be using this pigment because that's only for tattoos. XYZ. Like none of these other companies, even outside of S&P, that truly understand business, they don't engage in that kind of bullshit talk. Right? In the tattoo world, you see them. They'll do a post, and under that post, you'll have the artists that believe in the brand. They go, "That's the best pigment in the world. That's the best." Not the companies themselves going, "This is the best pigment in the world. You can only use this one, and that's it. Oh, you only use this pigment for lining, and nothing else." Like they don't do that. They don't isolate the way they try to do it in S&P. And listen, I'm not saying guys haven't gone above and beyond and formulated pigment that helps us a little better in what it is that we do. Not knocking that, but you can't go and say this is the only type of pigments that you should be using, and now there's 5 of them, when then there's like another 25 that you could possibly be using. Like that, for me, I never understood that, even early on.
The ink was already established, right? We already knew what's good in tattoo industry as of S&P. Everyone's trying to come out with their own ink, which is tattoo, but branded as S&P. So they're the first ones of selling their product, which is the best, right? That's what probably they're trying to do.
And I get it. And listen, I know it's expensive to manufacture your own pigment, especially when you do small batch. And when I mean small batch, I'm talking about anything under 1,000 units. Like that's considered small. So like it's gonna be expensive. You have to pay to play. Okay, so now you also have to pay a lot of money to tell this cosmetic chemist that you're white labeling from, hey, your pigment has, and I'm just throwing these out. This is not correct. This is just for instructional purposes only, guys. Like, well, ours has 90% whatever pigment or carbon pigment is 90%. Okay, well, I want mine to have 93%. And then we're going to call it Legends S&P pigment. And we're going to market it and say it's exclusively for S&P. You can't use anything else.
I linked you into that email privately. And then you just go and cook me like that.
Now he wants 95%. He wants 95%.
Paul, that was great. Because even as I said it, you went like, this fucking guy.
Well, that's funny.
Out. But
I wanted him to do 95% and call it headliner ink, but
that's actually good. That's good business.
That's good business.
So like guys that are doing that, again, I'm not knocking that, right? Fine. You reformulated something that you think is going to be beneficial for us and for what the particular style of tattooing that we do. That's great. That's good business. But it's the followers of the particular brands, and it's not all of them, right? Because some of these guys do move, with professionalism, but the rest, right, that we've crowned like leaders in this industry that go, well, you shouldn't be using anything else. You're not going to survive in this industry. You're never going to win any awards, like shit like that. And I see these DMs, bro, and I'm like, what? Why are you guys doing that? We could all show up to the baseball game and literally play together and still sell hot dogs and French fries and make money.
Yeah.
And there's still be a million people not treated.
I don't know, guys.
It's gatekeeping. I'm telling you, it's the old 2009 logic of gatekeeping, and it's not left. And not blaming OGs and stuff like that, but it's it's what they know. they saw an opportunity. They've probably made a lot of money from gatekeeping, but it's just like, you got to think that with more people coming into our industry, you're going to have more knowledgeable people. You're going to have people from the tattoo world who are going to just say this sort of stuff, even, you know, after us or even before us and stuff like that. And the clientele's changing. The clientele, like, if you go on these subreddits and forums and everywhere, there's so many now. Our clientele has become more informed, more intelligent and stuff like that. And the gatekeepers can't lock down. And to be honest, we are the silver bullet to that S&P.
Yeah.
Where
almost like Microsoft,
because,
right? We're like the
yeah,
Microsoft industry.
I haven't got a leash around my neck. I haven't got someone going, stop it, you can't say that anymore. Like, I'm like, fuck off. Like, you know what I mean? So now I can say what I want without someone like spraying a bottle on my face. Like, stop it. Like, and that's this industry needs. It needs voices that are established, have experience, have trial and tested results, but now say how it is without a sponsorship or branding telling you off. We are the worst weapon to the gatekeepers ever, and we should be, and it shouldn't be no gatekeepers, because if we can all talk collectively and share ideas, then we're only going to better the industry, right? And also, let's face it, if we're all using, say, for instance, tattoo pigment, well, there's an argument to say, hold on, someone might go see that as a challenge. You go, you know what? I see that challenge. Everybody's using pigment. I'm going to step up my game to find something better than possible tattoo pigment. But I feel like no one's really finding the next. Probably, I suppose Stevie G is dissecting and getting in the science lab and doing all this sort of stuff. Yeah, again, the big thing I need is proof.
Yeah, proving the concept for sure. Absolutely. With anything, you know, when you talk about gatekeeping, and we were talking about like the tattoo community and how we weren't allowed to like tap into them and stuff like that, and like couldn't use their inks, and you guys know this exists. So because it has been in all of our training, right? We've been like conditioned to indirectly kind of just shit on the tattoo industry and go, we don't do anything like them, right? Culturally, we don't, the technique and depth. So in the midst, right, of me going on this solo expedition of like, do tattoo artists really do shit differently from us? Or are we just exercising one sole technique from the tattoo tree, right? Because that's it.
Is ethnic tattoo and dot work.
These body artists, right? They do dot work, they do stippling. These guys are fucking amazing, right? And we just was like, oh, we're gonna attach to this one. So now I'm like, is it really different? So there's this photo that we like to put in our trainings, and I'm guilty of it too, because I too at one point was a receiver and a passer of information. Dave Hoffer said it, it's gold. Dave Hoffer knows his shit. I'm gonna pass it along. Do you guys are familiar with the photo where it shows what's the difference between the depth of a tattoo needle and an S&P needle where it's implanted, and you always see like the tattoo ink is all the way down here, and then the S&P ink is on the top, right? In between the epidermis and the dermal layer, right? More towards the epidermis layer. Some of Dave's already smiling because I know he knows this shit, and this is why Dave needs to be more like out there, because I know he knows this shit because he has access to all these people. I've built some relationships with some like really successful tattoo artists that do seminars, and I asked them, I was like, do you guys have like a diagram of where, do you have a diaphragm? Can you breathe right now?
Lie detector.
This is what's different between S&P artists and tattoo artists. We have diaphragms and they don't. Anyway, so I asked him, do you have a diagram that teaches your students where, you know, the proper depth is, right? Do you guys consider it? We call it a sweet spot. He goes, yeah, we call it a sweet spot too. I was like, can I please see that? I said, motherfucker, you asking a lot of questions. Like, are you going to use this? But I was like, yeah, legit, brother, I just need the knowledge. Boom. Shows it to me. I'm like, holy shit. And I do it with another artist that does a seminar. He just sends me that screenshot. And I'm like, motherfucker, all along, these guys have been showing us photos so that we don't associate ourselves at all with the tattoo industry or allow them to influence us, especially from a money perspective, that even these photos of where we should be implanting our pigment, our impression, the depth, are altered. Because I have 3 of them and they're all different. And what's beautiful about it is when you see the machine that's being inserted, it's a tattoo, it's a coil machine. It's a coil machine. That's tattoo artists right there. We don't use that shit. And you see the sweet spot right in between the epidermis and the dermis layer. Now all the way at the bottom of the dermis layer, but right on top. That is their sweet spot. Not the subcutaneous layer that 98% of the training that's going around, they tell us like, well, that's why you have blowouts. And I'm like, and little shit like that that's why I was like, you know what? Things have to change. Things have to change. And we need to start introducing more tattoo artists into our training as well, too, because these guys are doing that shit on a whole other level. Hours and hours for days and days on end, traveling all over the world. They know all the different kind of skin types, skin tones, all that shit. And we have been fed and continue to feed students who pay us good money, bullshit, and things like that. I feel needs to be changed. And I wanna spearhead that shit.
Mm-hmm. You're the antivirus for Microsoft.
King Huff. As of you working in Bishop headquarters, associated to Bishop, a lot of guest artists, a lot of tattoo artists, have you had something very similar to the same experience that Purple Dave?
Purple Dave. Call him Barney.
Back in the day.
Barney Dave, because you like to say, Barney it down, right? So what have I seen what kind of experience?
So like obviously you know how Dave just said that he had that interaction with tattoo artists and, that whole interaction and like, what the hell? Have you had something similar in like the Bishop headquarters and you obviously rubbing shoulders with famous tattoo artists and stuff like that? Have they asked questions about S&P and you've pulled information from them guys as well, right?
Yeah, but it's not something I tell them what I do and then I always point to my head and lots of tattoo artists, they've tattooed heads, but they've never done S&P. And they're like, oh, that's pretty cool. I can guarantee they can learn it in 2 seconds. It's not like I can teach them anything. I've had a couple artists reach out and say, hey, you know what? I've seen that S&P and they've been tattoo artists for 15, 20 years. I'm thinking about getting into that. I'm like, why? I'm like, well, because you guys make a lot of money. It's like, no, that's only what you're seeing online, And then they're like, well, do you teach? I was like, I don't need to teach you. You guys can tattoo circles around me with your eyes closed and your left foot. So there's nothing that I could really teach them. They just look at it and say, oh, that's pretty cool. Because to them, this is like Dave was saying, like Purple Dave was saying, this is just one little piece of the tattoo tree that we took and we just made it, not look like it. That's the big thing. It doesn't look like a tattoo. So that's how, that's our skill, not make it look like a tattoo.
I thought it's simple compared to what they do.
I will tell you this. Most of the tattoo artists that see what I do and I show them the video, a lot of them go, no, fuck that. I'm not doing that shit. That's way too tedious.
Yeah.
So like,
and it's boring.
My tattoo mate said exactly the same thing.
They absolutely can. And listen, credit to us for being the ones that are like, this is the life I want. The life of difficulty and learning how to blend a tattoo onto the scalp so that it looks good, not like a saturated tattoo. Because most of them, I haven't had one, to be honest with you, and I've had 2 that come like, oh, no, I just want to, shadow you, and they're like, bro, what? You're individually doing? They're like, I thought you were stipling that shit. I'm like, bro,
put on a helmet.
Yeah. So they're like, oh, I got to shade a head in. This guy's gonna teach me how to shade a stipple a head, and then they look at you and you're doing individual. That's like a mandala tattoo times 10. Count me out, bro.
Yeah, because
that's
they can that sort of stuff and my sort of stuff. They can hit the same dot twice. That's how they pack it at the bottom, and then they branch out. And I've got tattoo mates who
the whole process they do it, and they're like, "Wait, you do 3 sessions?" And the one thing that I will tell you when I start explaining the 3 sessions, it's like 50-50. All right, so some of them are like, "I get it." And then I have some of them that I've come across my travels that specialize in dot work. And I don't even want to drop this seed because it's going to drive us all crazy. They were like, well, I get why you do the 3 sessions, but if you do your first session the way you expect it to heal in 5 years, you can get it done in 1 session. I wouldn't recommend you do that. You got to be like a master, and you know that. And it's like, because they understand, they know that the pigment, whether you use the finest needle or not, is going to expand over time. So they know their spacing, because this is what they do, just like we do. So like, they have the capabilities and the skills to do it. They just like, I'm not bringing somebody back for 3 sessions to do this shit. Like, hell no, like that's crazy. And some of them have told me, how much? $3,500? You can kiss my ass. I'm charging someone $8,000 if I gotta do that.
And they're like, no way, I'm doing that in 3. I'll do it in 1. And we're like, no way, we do that in 1. We'll do it in 3.
Right.
And like, it's funny because like when I was kind of transitioning from my tattoo apprenticeship into S&P, she wanted me to come back and explain it and learn it and then start her own business, but it's not how I play. But I told her, like, I said, they told me that this is a whole different thing than tattooing and all this sort of stuff. And they told me they're using special pigments, special needles and all this sort of stuff. And she was like, hold on.
They brainwash you, Paul.
Have they put a needle into pigment, into skin? And I was like, yeah. It's like, it's a tattoo.
It's a fucking tattoo.
It's a tattoo. And I was like, well, yeah. And I've never lost that. But like, back in the day when it was first introduced to me, it was that packing motion. It was like what you said, Dave, like the step-in kind of thing. It was just packing. And it did look like a tattoo. It did look like a tattoo kind of thing. So it's funny how you had that interaction. I had that interaction.
Yeah. And it's 50-50. And you know, going back to when I was at the Golden State Tattoo Expo, bro, I was talking to some of the pro artists for Cheyenne. And I remember telling the dude, that was my first lesson in like, you don't say this is not a tattoo. Yeah. Because I don't know the guy's name. He was a cholo, face tatted all up. He was a super dope looking dude, and he's asking me, and I'm telling him, I'm like, yeah, no, I do S&P, and he's like, yeah, you do fucking dot work, bro. And I'm like, so I'm going, so here I am. I'm like, how dare you? You know, so I'm like, no, bro, it's called scalp micropigmentation. This is not a traditional tattoo. Here I, who the fuck am I, right? And he goes, yo, bro, it's a fucking dot tattoo, bro. And he looks over at the guy that's next to him, and he kind of gave him that look like, yo, whose fucking kid is this? Whose kid is this? And I put 2 and 2 together, and I was just like, all right, yeah, man, yeah, okay, I got you, bro. And I just was like, let me get away from here. It was a little embarrassing. Like, I took it, I was just like, okay, hold on, bro. You got to keep asking questions. Like he's like, bro, it's fucking dot work, bro. Like, what are you talking about?
Because we're put in the category or cosmetic procedure, right? So
right.
It's the same with microblading. It's still tattoo as well. You're making lines, right?
Right. It's I get it. It's a category. It's one of those things that people don't understand. You're taking pigment, you're implanting it into the skin. It's a tattoo. It's just we go about it. It's a different form of the tattoo. No one's saying it's wrong, but it's when it's trying to get people to get deprogrammed of saying, well, what I do is not a tattoo. Like, no, fucker, it's a tattoo.
Yeah. It's such a funny world. And I love that we've come to this kind of era now where, you know, podcasts are really popular and we do have voices for the industry. It is just so a breath of fresh air to actually speak this freely about all this sort of stuff, because, you know, you are finding yourself in situations where you can look like a massive dumbass, like
yeah,
you know. And it's the logic of like S&P back in the day. It really wanted its own identity, and it wanted to be a massive kind of competition to hair transplants. It wanted to be something what it is to this day, but they could never have the foundations that this was a tattoo. It could not have the word tattoo into it. And it's like when we was all trying to find out the new abbreviation, because like it was my MHT, micro hair technique, that fucked people because it wasn't a hair or anything like that. So loads of people was asking, is it a hair and all this sort of stuff. And then remember the meeting, Mike was part of the same clinic back in the day, and it was like, we need a new abbreviation to what it was. And it was like, can we call it hair tattooing? No, definitely not. We can't have the word because the medical world and the hair transplants and the hair association, blah blah blah, won't take us seriously. And it was just, they said just the connection to the tattoo world made us look more not professional. But you know, fast forward to 2025 now, we know that this is a tattoo, but we also know how life-changing this is for people. It can give someone a new lease of life. And I'm there's no shame if someone says, oh, this is a hair tattoo, this is a tattoo. I'll be pretty much like, yeah. Even when I'm like out and about and people, well, what's S&P? I just go, it's a cosmetic hair tattoo. Yeah, that's it. Oh, I get it now. Back in the day, you get slapped around the back of the head using the T word, mate. It's just not
the T word.
The T word.
The T word. That's my new shirt. The T word. This is not a T word.
So did you have any kickback about you mentioning Dynamic as a good alternative? Did you have anybody reach out going, dude, you're out of the Freemasons, get out?
No, and when we started having the conversations, as some of the sponsorships started happening, one of them was like, listen, like, this bullshit that you fucking spit to your community. We think you're effective. We like what you do. You can definitely sell something because you're real about it, so people are gonna believe it. We know you're not gonna put anything out there that's bullshit, but you are putting out some bullshit. And I was just like, I already know what you're talking about. And it was that saying, it's not a tattoo, it's not this, you don't use this ink. And to answer your question, no one that could harm me, in the industry at this point right now. And I'm not saying this trying to sound like, but like, what can they possibly do right now?
Come at me, bro.
Like, you're not gonna invite me to, I don't know, maybe a show, or ask me to not, are you coming out with
pay $2,000 to get
in? No, you're coming out with a product and you were like, oh, well, you're the one that I was really looking to kind of be the poster boy to help sell this. And it's like, no, I can't be a poster boy for something that's not really beneficial to my community. So
are you a sponsored artist still? Are you sponsored by any brand now or anything? I know you got the connection with Hustle Butter, but are you like a needle? Are you affiliated with needles or anything like that now?
So as of right now, the only thing like S&P directly related is with InkU, their needles. They have great needles. I love their needles, but even that relationship soon is gonna come. And this is when I went into that relationship with them, once even before they launched their product, I told them, I was like, listen, I have something very big that I'm working on, and it's just a matter of time. In the meantime, this is what I would like to see before I can put my name on it. And you know what? You guys are my friends. You guys are pioneers in this industry. You guys do right. Let's do it. I'll be a sponsor for you guys. And then once everything got finalized with Hustle Butter, then I told them, I was like, look, this is where it is. Made phone calls. Everyone understood. They knew at some point it was going to come to that. So, we're still all cool. But as far as S&P goes, just the needles. But I will tell you right now, I'm also sponsored now by Killer Beauty, PMU. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with Killer Ink. Killer Ink is like one of the biggest distributors in the world for the tattoo industry. So even they have made a pivot into the beauty world, and that's where they categorize us S&P artists. Like, we're in the beauty space. So like they're also very aware of, and you know what, I'm just gonna put it out there because this was inevitable. I said this years ago that we're gonna end up picking up some traction, and if we don't take care of our own, someone else with the capital is gonna come in and swoop it right out of our feet. So like the tattoo industry is very well aware of what's going on in the S&P industry, especially with the products. So they've made a pivot, and now they're making pigments, needles for the S&P industry but they're also putting them at a very competitive pricing, and they're creating incredibly good products. And they're not just saying use them because this is who we are. Oh, no, this is what we did. We soldered this, we did triple this, we added this extra. Like, yep. They're informing you as well. You're leaving with knowledge as to why this tool is going to be beneficial for you. So that was very long-winded. At the moment, for S&P related, like exclusive, I'm with the needles, but at some point is gonna move over to the stellar needles that I'm just waiting to receive. And then, I got Hustle Butter. Hustle Butter is, skincare. We got the aftercare. Wobble Water. I'm still
I see that.
By Wobble Water. We actually had an event. They came up with me and they saw it. The guy loves it,
Is it water?
Killer. Yeah, they love the water and just the industry, like he's looking to, because the thing with the water is a focus fueled water. So like when he saw what I was doing, he was just like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, this guy's beyond focused right now. He's like doing hundreds of thousands of dots on this guy's head. So he was like, you're a perfect, a perfect person to represent the brand. And they're more catered toward the artistic, like the music space. I'm sorry, artistic. I thought I said autistic. Either way, I qualify.
We are
we're all on the spectrum.
Either way, I qualify.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then Palms. Palms is they're a barbering store. They're like an iconic store in New York City. They're like the longest opening mom and pop store. So like I'm sponsored by them to push the hair cutting tools for S&P artists.
That's cool. Tom's gonna edit all this part out because we're not affiliated.
Oh shit! All right, yeah, I'm
No,
sorry.
I'm just kidding.
You
I'm
should
just
have told me
kidding.
not.
I'm just
Okay.
kidding.
You should have told me to not say names.
Oh, I'm just kidding.
I had a mouth full of water.
You know what's gonna happen? He's gonna go. So I'm sponsored by Bishop, and then I drink Bishop water. That's what
He's gonna AI my voice. Yeah, I drink Bishop water. I drink Bishop.
He'll be like,
David, are you thinking of creating your own needles eventually, or your own ink?
No, bro.
No.
So what was told, if things work out the right way, what would make the most sense so that the industry would still embrace it is not making my own needle, but kind of like a line, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like if Bishop decided you want, and even that, I was very like, listen, the only thing I want to do right now, I want to be trusted and a reliable source. And I want to still continue to do a lot of clients. I'm not worried about making my own product, especially the role that I've accepted now for Hustle Butter. Like I'm essentially the vessel navigating this whole space for S&P and PMU. So even if I wanted to, I don't think I would have the time because we're focusing on really introducing that to our industry. And already with that, we've kind of got a couple of phone calls that are like, yo, man, like you guys are selling a 5-ounce tub of balm for $23. That doesn't look good for the rest of the industry. And it's kind of like, hey, I'm not doing this for you. I'm actually doing this for the rest of the industry.
You're going to guide the people to use the right products, correct products, which is good.
Yeah, I've already gotten like calls like, hey, man, that's not going to be fair to, the other people in the space. And I'm like, well, tell that to fucking Payless Shoe Source and Nike. Yeah. Payless sells shoes for $20. Nike sells shoes for $220. They get to pick and choose what they want.
And also, like, if Killer Beauty get involved and, they're connected to the tattoo world and they start making products, they are going to be, they're coming from
they
a different
already
mindset.
Have.
They're coming
they
from
already have.
Yeah. They're coming from a different mindset. So, like, now that the mindset they've got is like a tattoo influence, which is about shared knowledge, dissecting pigment, open data sheets, not hiding anything, not claiming something that what it potentially can do, and that's seeping into the industry. So yeah, again, the gatekeepers are going to be like, whoa, hold on.
Yeah, it's a matter of time.
It's
a matter of time. When I tell you that the tattoo industry has pivoted and they're aware of what's happening in the PMU and the S&P space, they are.
Next event should be called PMUT, man.
At some point, these brands that their justification of, or we have a high ticket product, this is why we sell it for this much, they're going to be doomed. These small guys are going to be doomed. It's just, I mean, that's business. That's how it works. And Dave's fucking smiling over there because I know he knows it's going to happen. I mean, look what Bishop did.
I'm getting notes from Tom, who knows a lot more about tattoos than I. He's been in the industry for a long time.
Well, so get Tom on.
He's speaking.
I'll let you answer here.
Okay, now.
Sorry.
5 minutes. 5 seconds. 5.
So
4,
I know, right?
3.
No, but so it's funny because like you're right about Killer Ink. Killer Ink's awesome. I've been working with Killer Ink, God, since like 12, 11, somewhere on there, filming.
Since you were 11?
Yeah,
11 years old?
Yeah, they're old. They've been around.
Oh,
like
they
for
ain't
international stuff. So 2011, I think we're at the
Oh,
London Tattoo.
2011. Jesus.
Yeah,
you thought, man, since
You
he was
s-
11 years
no,
old?
no.
I thought like you were 11 years old. I'm like,
Yeah.
shit.
Fucking child labor over here,
Right?
man. Shit.
No, but yeah, they've been around. Killer Ink's been around for a while, and it's cool because it's like they know their shit. Like they're good at what they do. I know some of the filmers that work with them and stuff, and they always push good products. So same with Bishop. I mean, we've been in the. I mean, God, you were doing the PMU stuff
Like
before.
4.
Yeah,
Like,
like
but-
2017, 2018.
Somewhere around there, and it's just like one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's inevitable in general because there are so few, like, now with all the regulations, like regulated needle companies, regulated manufacturers, regulated ink companies that actually, I mean, we need REACH compliance. We're still dealing with REACH compliance with Eternal. So Eternal was one of our partner companies, and they're manufactured in Detroit. And they're dealing with REACH compliancy right now in UK stuff. So it's like a red is slightly off. They gotta REACH compliant it. They gotta make sure it's good. But same with all the black pigments and stuff. Everybody's trying to make their own bathtub ink. But these guys have been doing it since like early 90s, late 70s. Some of these guys are old schoolers that have been doing it forever. And now they're retiring. It's funny you guys mentioned this. That they're retiring into SMP. Like I know one of our good friends who just recently passed, Jack Rudy. He's at Tattoo Land, and a lot of the old schoolers that are there that have been there since like late 70s, early 80s that have been tattooing daily, like constantly. They're retiring into SMP. They're like literally like
Practice.
Yeah, literally like
It's like Messi. It's like Messi playing for MLS, coming from Barcelona.
and like
They see the opportunity.
No,
They see the opportunity. They see the ignorance.
Yeah.
They know the skill and the knowledge they bring. So they know they're going to come into this industry and they're going to kill it.
Yeah.
Have you seen them clips on TikTok where there'll be like a strange bar with people just getting drunk and doing funny dances, but the influencer, the person who has the page, superimposes themselves and going,
Yeah.
like what kind of bar? That's the tattoo industry coming into the S&P industry. Like, what the fuck is this about? Like,
That's how much we get
Mad.
paid. We're doing this.
Yeah, and it's
why is it
because,
eagles landing on people's arms and promoting training?
Well, and that's funny. That's funny. What's his name? The guy that came with us to Arizona. Roy. So Roy is one of the guys. He's here at Tattoo Land in Anaheim, and he's like, first half of his day is SMP, and he does multiple sessions, and he takes his time on it because he's getting older. He doesn't need to hustle and do like hourly tattoos and all that stuff. But he was even just like, what is up with these like guys with the crazy shoes and what is all this? And he's just like, I'm tired these days. He's like, I literally like I can't do like more than a few tattoos a week. I have grandkids, and like literally that's where he's in talking with you and Franco and all this stuff, basically giving his knowledge of the tattoo world and stuff that he's gone over the years. And then now it's like blending the two, which is really cool what I saw.
And the funny thing is he's been tattooing for like 40 years.
Yeah.
And he got into SMP, and now he's out of SMP because he was like, this is boring.
Yeah,
just
boring.
like what you were saying, Dave. He's like, I got to do a bunch of fucking dots.
Yeah, it's too
I'd rather
slow.
create some artwork. So it's too slow. He's like, I could do it, but it's boring to me.
They don't want to.
All my tattoo mates say the same thing. They're like, Paul, there must be something wrong with your mechanisms and wiring in your brain to enjoy this, because this is painful. And I'm like,
Well, like it's for the clients, right? It's for the clientele. That's what we care about, the clientele.
I need to do some color. I need to do something. I need to work on a new style all the time, but it's just, I suppose it's everybody's wired differently, and the reason some people do Japanese work, some people do traditional, you know, we do dot work, but hair dot work, do you know what I mean? We're designed to love it and breathe it every single day.
Yeah. Because I think tattoo artists don't see that change we do in clients. Maybe they'll have some clients that get a tattoo after cancer, but they don't see that natural high we get with every client, because we're helping every client, right? Someone does get it's a butterfly on their ass. I don't think they're helping their, you know, life situation.
You know what was cool though, right? And I'm not saying no to it, but you know, we like to say like, you know, what we do and how our clients react. So one of the guys that I was talking with, like I was showing him some of my videos. I was like, dude, I'll be having like these NFL rejects get so happy because I give them a hairline and they get, look at how this guy picked me up. And he was talking about, he was like, you know, I've been really keeping my eye on the S&P industry. You guys really do a good job in glorifying your client's reaction. He was like, there's also some of you artists out there that you guys shit on us. And I'm like, you're absolutely right. And I was like, listen, I don't want to speak on the whole industry, but fuck, I'm sorry. He's like, but I'm going to show you something. He shows me he's doing a tattoo. It's a paw, a dog paw. And I'm kind of, I wasn't putting two and two together. I was like, okay, bro, I get it. Like, you got fucking skills. You're making this look like a dog paw. But then he gets to the part where he shows the client actually looks at it in the mirror, and she just like breaks down crying. And he goes, bro, don't get it twisted. Like, I changed that lady's life too. And I looked at him and I was like, brother, you are fucking 1000% right. Like,
and we get that with
only ones changing lives here. I know it's a great tool to kind of like, again, something that's been used to kind of like separate and discredit like tattoo artists. Like, oh, they're not saving lives, we're saving lives. Oh shit, man. Like some of these people getting tattoos of people that you know, their parents, the mom, a memorial, exactly. And like they carry it on with them for the rest of their lives. They look at it, they're happy, they're proud about it. So it's like, I don't know. Also, you know, I blame Paul. Paul started all this.
And the ink can be made from the ashes as well, from the animal's ashes.
It's funny, right? I got trial thought, but then I want to go back to that thing, what you just said. It's like people who are getting head tattoos to cover up the baldness as well. It's like completely the same reason. We do obviously the dot formation, creating stubble. But someone might go to a tattoo artist and they'll put a big giant fucking cobra on the back of my head because I don't want to look bald anymore. It's the same issue what we're tackling, but from two different art perspectives. And when we did your live, you know, when I hopped onto your live stream, you was just like blaming me for a lot of shit. No,
I asked who was, you assumed the responsibility, which was noble of you, but I didn't ask. I didn't say, Paul, it was your fault. But you know what? Okay, it doesn't matter, Paul, right? It was done. You're now you're speaking up that it needs to get changed, and it is what it is, bro. We all at some point in our career went along with the wave.
Yeah, and again, it was. I've always battled for honestly the last, I don't even know how long I've been running Legends. The last, no matter, say 3 years. I think it's 3 years. Last 3 years, I've been doing Legends by myself. Has been the best time in my life, in my S&P career. Like, it's insane how much I've enjoyed it. And it's always been like, and I've come from a tattoo world, and I've gone through this S&P narrative where loads of corporate minds are like, no, you got to do this, you got to say this, you can't be that way, you can't act that way, you can't wear your hat backwards on a video because it makes you look unprofessional and all that sort of stuff. And it's crazy because like we do have I've always been that tattoo mind frame who are almost a little bit pop punk, a little bit fuck you, and a bit like, you know, we're not conform, you know, having a tattoo is deemed rebellious. So it's only now I've really found my voice, and like, and I can accept and take some things on as that. Like, I was there contributing it because I thought who I was as an individual, I wasn't right for this kind of industry, and I was told that you've got to wear a mask and you've got to do this. Like, I was told that every fucking event I go to, I had to wear a shirt and tie and a fucking dinner suit.
like you still work for a corporate in the cubicle, but you were doing S&P, right? That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
And I was told to be this way, but behind my mask, I was like, I'm a fucking tattoo artist and I'm an artist and I don't believe what you're saying. And it took me so long to pluck up the courage to go, fuck this. I believe in myself. I believe in my artwork. I believe in that I can change people's lives. And it's only when I started doing that and I've seen people come to me asking for help, I just found, you know what?
Yeah, there's freedom in that.
Use my tattoo voice, use my artistic voice, use my knowledge and my background. And honestly, it's been amazing. And I any tattoo artist who's come into this industry to say a different narrative, I can't wait for it because it's just something I've wanted to do for a long time. I'm just very, very late to the party, but I'm here and I arrived.
I'm glad you said that because for the longest time, ever since I started, I've always had my shop look like a shop. I don't wear scrubs. I dress in jeans and t-shirt. My shop looks like a man cave. I never called it a clinic, and I felt like I almost got embarrassed. Like if I would have guest artists, like some of you guys come to my shop, I'm like, oh, it's just like a little man cave. I was embarrassed because I didn't think I fit the mold. So that's why I wouldn't take some pictures or I wouldn't show my shop because it literally looks like a man cave, and everybody else's is clinical and sterile looking, and mine's still sterile, but it looks like a tattoo shop. So I went that route, and I felt like I was wrong. So I'm glad, Paul, that you feel that way, and makes me feel like I'm not.
I'm glad you guys even both brought that up because someone's gonna hear this, and trust me, you're gonna save them so much fucking heartache. And about 2-3 months ago, I was talking to this S&P artist, and he tells me, Dave, I want to ask you some advice. How'd you start off? I told him, brother, I was in a 71 square foot room, smaller than a jail cell. I was paying $350 a month, and there was no window. And I was like, trust me, I'm familiar with the dimensions of a jail cell. And he was like, well, I'm being told by my artist that I should get into a facility or a building that's very like clinical and medical. And I'm like, why? He's like, because, and gives the whole spiel, right? So here I am just and putting myself in this kid's shoes where I'm like, brother, you can open a suite for $500, but now this trainer is telling you in order for you to be successful, you have to invest $2,000 because now you're in a medical building. It's like they're already positioning them to fail. And it's like, how did that happen? Because I was the same way too. I have photos and I showed them. I was like, yo, I drank that juice one time too. Full scrubs with the fucking the whatever the slip-on shoes were. And I did that for like about 2 months and something was
like a butcher.
I was like, I can't wear this.
Scrubs, bro.
It's like I can't wear this and still be like funny and joke around with my clients the way I do. I was like, it just feels weird. I don't feel like I'm being myself. So I was like, I transitioned over to the t-shirt, says Scalp Solution, always maintained professionalism, but I always called it a studio. It was a clinic. And it was even that when I started, I remember Picasso telling me, he's like, stop calling that shit a studio, bro. It's a clinic. And I was like, nah.
That's where I fucked up.
Studio,
that's where I fucked up with Legends. I've called it Legends Clinic. And like, it was a time of the essence thing. It was like, I had to come up with a quick name straight away. And I was just talking to my friend who does aesthetics. And she was like, you should just call it Legends Clinic because you might branch into other stuff. And I was like, right, Legends Clinic. And as soon as I submitted it and all that sort of stuff, I was like, it should have been Legends Studio.
I'm going to open up a shop called Legends Studio.
Oh,
no, Legends.
Trademark it, Dave.
Legendary Studio.
Trademark it, Dave, and then sell it back.
And also, scrubs.
That's good business.
Yeah, I like scrubs. Like, I've got my little kind of skater, so it's Dickies. But upstairs, professional. Downstairs, skater.
Nice. What I could appreciate, Paul, is that you got the luscious V going, and you can see like about 3-4 pieces of the taco meat.
He's a redhead. It's raw taco meat.
Okay, Mike, we all opened up about some of these freaking, rules and regulations that we went down. What about you, brother? What was one of those stigmas that you went down and you were kind of like, damn?
No, it was the same. It was the same path as Paul, because that's who trained me, right? But it wasn't Paul teaching me. I mean, he was teaching me, but who was brainwashing me were the owners, right, at that time. So you have to follow the rules, otherwise clients would not sign up, right? Because it was that term of tattooing your head. You couldn't tell that to your client at consultation, potential client. you have to make it more as it is cosmetic procedure, right? So that we're not using anything that's related to tattooing. And it was inbred in my head since from the beginning. And then I started thinking, like, this is still a fucking tattoo, right? I got my sister-in-law that's dot work, traditional dot work. She told me even 20 years ago, before I started doing SMP, she said, if you mix brown with black, it's gonna stay longer. You're gonna see that brown, right? Because I always ask her later on, it's like, why some of the inks come out bluish or the light blue? It's like if you put brown in it, it's not gonna make it, but you have to have the correct brown in it. So I'm circling that correct brown. So hopefully y'all find it. But yeah, it was the brainwashing from the beginning from the companies we used to work for, right? So that's why I was comparing our industry into Microsoft industry, right? It's like you created something great, then you got the influencer they're being given the bad vibe, which are the viruses. Now we got to create the antivirus, right, for them to correct that situation again. So
it's a great way. The antivirus.
When Mike was doing his 3-month apprenticeship with me, like you remember this, mate? Like they would come in and drop off the bottle of pigment in your room and your box of needles, and all the labels would be taken off, and it was just big, massive white bottle like this. It was huge. And
and then we have to use all those needles we got. We couldn't just this needle is malfunction. You got to use it either way. You have to write it down how many needles you use on each client.
Oh yeah,
they check the stocks. You couldn't just use 2-3 needles. If you got like 2 needles left for the rest of the day, you got to use that fucking 2 needles. That's it.
That's another one of those things that I never understood. It was like why we always worked on the client's dry. Like why we don't use balm as we go. I mean, like I do it now, and this past year and a half, my results, my retention, I'm like, why was I not doing this? I mean,
you guys use wet wipes?
I used to before, but wet wipes really doesn't condition the skin. It's like
it doesn't. It
kind of promotes it to get dry again. So like
as well, because you're wiping the ink nonstop with something wet. Tattoo artists don't use wipes.
Yeah, but they use glides to like every time you see it, then take some glide or
it's
something.
Dry paper.
Do that and then tattoo that area, and then glide and tattoo that area.
Yeah, and I remember even getting schooled on that. Like one of the artists, he was like, "But why don't you do that?" I was like, "Bro, I'm gonna be very honest with you. Like, no one in our industry does it." And he legit told me, he was like, "You guys are fucking stupid." That's the thing you have to appreciate about tattoo artists is like, some of them are not as, I guess, because of the industry is like very accepting. Where for us, they kind of want you like to walk that fine line and be a little more polished. Like they're very like brutal with it. He was like, "You guys are fucking stupid." He was like, "You need to condition the skin. You got to prepare the skin to accept the pigment. You don't want to work dry." And then this fucker has no idea about SMP. He's like, "Why would you work on dry skin? What if he's got flakes? What if he's got excess this?" And I'm like, how does this guy know all of this? I'll tell you why. He's been fucking tattooing for 20 years. So I started using it, and it has changed the way I work. And it's not like a shameless plug because of my association now with an aftercare product, but it's like, it's true. We should all be using some sort of glide because it'll help us out. But yeah, it's like, no, you work dry. And you're supposed to let the scalp stay dry for 3 to 5 days and all this other shit. It's like,
it's a learning process, and we're all still learning.
It is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're still learning. This is this things like this will help, and I think people hearing us who are I would like to say the thing of think that they look at us as people, the men of value in this industry, and hearing us admit like we too fell for this shit too, and it didn't work for us, and we finally got our heads out of our asses.
At least so we can give them common sense of think about that 3 days of 2 days of 1 day of training is not going to fucking get you where you want to be and make 6 figures.
I think we're part of a revolution here. Hopefully. I mean, it sounds like a big, pompous kind of word, but I think we're going to get through to people. And, I'm thankful that there are podcasts like this and us being the #1 podcast hooking up with the number 3 podcast over there, because we all know number 2 is Joey. It's going to just expand the knowledge more and more. You know, hey, listen, dude, guys, we're like almost 2 hours in. We gotta probably end this up soon.
My ass is going.
One more question.
I was just going to ask one more question, because we touched on the subject that meeting the minds and conventions and all this sort of stuff. Like, you know, we get these events can potentially give platforms to artists who are basically spitting shit and just not helping and just giving the wrong narrative out there. I was going to ask Dave, like, Dave, do you find yourself, because you've got a platform where people are coming on there and telling their story and stuff like that, do you feel like, in an essence, that you're conscious of who you have on because of what they put out there in the industry? Because us as a collective, us three with the No BS SMP podcast, we try our best to kind of get people on who are willing to say how it is and speak freely and talk about raw subjects and you know, come up with solutions. Do you find yourself sometimes at a crossroads where you're like, this guy potentially is going to come on the podcast, but I don't agree with what he's saying? What's that process for?
Chameleon, basically.
Yeah.
I always vet it, and I always look, I guess this is going to be a valuable interview, or is this going to be a contribution to the fucking bullshit that's going on? And if I feel like that person is already like a controversial person, I always do a pre-one, and I kind of guide them to like, listen, don't put yourself in that position where you're going to kind of come off like a con artist. Don't get all salesy and stuff like that. And if you're going to talk, if I've ever had anyone that has products, I'm always very transparent with them. I'm like, listen, I'm going to fucking ask you a crap ton of questions. As long as you have knowledge for me and you're able to tell me, well, yes, this is who I went through and we did this different, we reformulated this, XYZ, then be prepared for that, because that's what everyone wants to know. So yeah, I definitely do vetting, and I'll tell you right now, a lot of them, before I pre-interview them, I tell them right then and there, I'm like, I don't think this is going to work, because this might make you look bad, and I don't want to, I don't want to be responsible for, like, you're for the industry going, oh, Paul's a piece of shit. I just tell them, like, I don't want to do that to you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a bad dude either, right? I don't want to hurt nobody.
You don't want to set up a trap and stuff like
right
that.
But if I'm going to put you in a position now where, people all over the world are going to hear you and you're going to be a douche, right? I don't want to, like, I know he's a douche. Let me just let everyone know that he's a douche. It's like, bro, I don't want to do this. Like,
just pass them to our podcast. We'll take care of it.
I'll send them. I send it. You got to go to the number 1 podcast, No BS podcast.
We'll sick douchey Chew. Was that his name? Douchey
Chew.
Yeah. But no, I'm very strategic with it. But now it's a little more difficult, and because we don't have a lot of good artists, so I'm running out of.
Awesome.
And now with everything that's put into play, like, I got to be even more strategic, right? Like, I got to make sure the artists that I'm interviewing are, they don't have to tell me like, Dave, I'm part of the cause, but they have to indirectly be part of.
Show me your resume.
Hey,
but also I gotta be careful. Like, just recently, like 2-3 weeks ago, I had to reach out to a couple of guys. I was like, listen, man, I know I wanted to do you for the I wanted to interview you for the
podcast,
the new guy, the newer podcast, and I interview some of the rookie guys. What are some things that you're missing out on, XYZ? But I was like, your work is really saturated. It's not gonna be good for you, man. Like, these guys, that's like me throwing you up to the sky, and fucking Paul, Dave, and Mike are fucking hawks. They're gonna eat you alive. So this is not gonna be beneficial.
So like, sure it lands on my arm though, because we all know.
Yeah. So I gotta be very strategic with that. And then again, there's a lot of S&P artists. There's not a lot of good S&P artists. So we're kind of running out of that. So I gotta do a lot of solo podcasts too.
Let's end this. Just chat. Send another link. So just chat now. Yeah.
Well, wait. We gotta probably end.
Yeah. No, I think we're good, bro.
But you know what? Let's definitely do this again. Your left nut. What?
Left
numb.
Well, before we go, I want to say that
on you.
we are behind the scenes slowly working on something as well, which I feel like is going to benefit the industry. So I don't want to dangle the carrot too much, which I am. But
sounds kinky.
Hopefully, we will be able to work closer together in the near future with
For
the
sure.
same kind of feel and vibe of what we want to do for the industry and stuff. So stay tuned for that as well to the viewers out there.
Paul, how's your clinic?
And Dave, thanks for coming on, man. We really appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having me on. I
awesome.
appreciate you guys. Thank you for always having my back and sending me the messages, letting me know that I'm doing right and cheering me on. That means a lot to me. I appreciate you guys. You guys are artists that I looked up to when I started, and I still look up to you guys.
Awesome.
So thank you.
Hey, well, this is what we do at the end of every one of our podcasts. We do our no bullshit in sign language.
Woo!
One hand like this. There you go. Until next time, guys. Later.
All right, so guys, love you.
All right.
Peace.
Bye.
Peace out.